I understand your genre is you're an edgelord, you're a provocateur, you're a comic, and you push people's buttons, and that's your genre. So then to criticize Christopher Cantwell's bad optics is not getting it. Obviously, someone who's an edgelord is going to be bad optics at times.
Exactly. Well, so that's the whole thing. You know, if you're running for office, you wouldn't want to be on a stage with me. And I've always, if there are people who I think of like running for office and I think they're doing a great job, I don't invite them to be guests on the Radical Agenda because I don't want to tank their campaign.
Right. And Jared Taylor gets a lot of heat from people on the alt-right for being weak on the JQ, but the guy doesn't have to tackle every single issue, right? His thing is race, and he leaves the JQ to other people. And so his genre is the race genre, and he does it very well. It seems to me that it's unfair to him to criticize him for not being tougher on the JQ. What do you think?
I think I agree with your assessment wholeheartedly in that. And what's funny is because I use him as an example a lot of times because people will contact me and they'd be like, well, you'd be more effective at what you do if you just behaved in this more polite fashion. And I'm like, well, go take a look at Jared Taylor, right? Like that. There's a guy who does that and he's got more class and style than I'm ever going to acquire. And so, the division of labor here, right? I'll go tell an edgy joke and shock people out of their bubble. And Jared Taylor will go be the polite, respectable racist, right? And I think that's, not everybody's going to do the same thing. And if everybody does the same thing, then we ain't going to get nothing done. There's a division of labor, right? And so I think that's reasonable. And by the way, Jared Taylor, as a matter of fact, as just an aside, was kind of like an important step along my ideological progression too, right? I saw this thing. I just happened to stumble across when Matt Heimbach did try to do the white student union at Towson University, right? And I just thought it was, and I wasn't even into this sort of subject matter at the time. I was just like, oh, you get a black student union, that's fine. A white student union, you can't. It seemed like a good way for me to attack social justice warriors, right? And so I was looking at this thing, and then he had Jared Taylor come speak. He's an eminently respectable, reasonable guy who's making a case for something that's really easy to understand. And all of these people just want to use violence and deception to make sure that he can't be heard. And I'm like, wow, there must be something going on here that I haven't picked up on yet. Because at the time, I was pretty well convinced that it was a bad thing to be a racist, right? And so I'm like, that guy doesn't seem like a bad guy. That seems like somebody that, has his stuff together and is making a lot of reasonable points and explains a lot about our society. And so if Jared Taylor had been, all the Jews, and didn't get his, to come speak at Towson University, I might never have seen him. And you and I maybe ain't having this conversation. Now, there are some people who would prefer that we didn't have this conversation, and they certainly like that to be the case. But, I'm glad I'd love to have changed some things about the past or whatever, but I'm glad we're here.